All right, what's up, everybody? Good morning from the West Willow Creek Trailhead outside of Creede, Colorado. Pretty far in the middle of nowhere, actually. So it is pretty cold this morning. It is about 6:45 right now, and this is the four-wheel drive trailhead for West Willow Creek, and this is also the trailhead for the non-standard route up to the summit of San Luis Peak, a 14er in the La Garita Mountains. Some consider this the San Juan Mountains, some don't. Depends on who you talk to. Like I said, this is outside of Creede. And yeah, it's gonna be an awesome hike. This is a class 1 14er. And there are some people here, but this San Luis Peak is actually one of the least climbed 14ers in the state of Colorado, just because of how remote it is. A lot of peak baggers never even heard of it. But anyway, I am just gonna keep hiking up the trail, and I will get back to you guys a little further in. All right, well, I have gone up about 700 feet from the trailhead. I'm at 12.2 right now. Pretty steep trail so far, but not too bad. And it is a beautiful morning out here. You can see the trailhead all the way down there in that little valley. If you are planning on hiking from this San Luis Peak, from this trail, that is a four-wheel drive trailhead, but it's not too bad. I mean, I wouldn't recommend driving any further past the trailhead because the road gets a lot worse as soon as you pass the trailhead. But getting to the actual trailhead itself is not too bad. There's one kind of difficult stream crossing that would stop pretty much any two-wheel drive vehicle, but it's definitely Subaruable. And I drove my truck and had no issues whatsoever. So all right, well, I'm up here on this little ridge crest at about 12.3, 12.4, something like that. That's the summit up there, so you can see it from pretty early on in the hike, but definitely got a long way to go. So when you get up here, the trail kind of fades. There's not really much of a trail left. So you want to look for this little rock cairn right here, a little pile of rocks, whatever. And then you're going to dip down into this little gully and follow this for about, for a couple hundred feet. And then you'll see a little marker down there. You want to head towards that marker because that's the Continental Divide Trail, the CDT. And going to take a right on the CDT and keep heading towards the summit. Beautiful hike so far, and now that the sun's out, things are definitely warming up. This is really interesting, actually. It's a beautiful trail, and I gotta tell you, you know, this hike is like totally empty compared to any other 14er hike I've ever done. I mean, there definitely are people on this trail, and there's 2 trails to the summit, so I'm assuming that, you know, obviously I'm not going to have the summit to myself. But considering that thus far today I've only seen 2 other people, at least, like I said, thus far, And you know, it's a 14er, and it's also a Saturday, and it's also Labor Day weekend. I mean, when you put all those factors into play here, I am pretty shocked at how quiet this hike has been so far. I mean, most 14ers, you know, there's other people the whole time, unless you do it at like a really off time. And even then, sometimes there are certain 14ers that, you know, are just always crowded. But for being a Saturday, Labor Day weekend, all that stuff, this is as empty as I've ever seen a 14er trail. All right, well, I have dropped about 500 feet from that high point on that ridge crest that I was on, and back down below tree line now, below 12,000 feet. And yeah, it's not the best feeling in the world when you're going up to a 14er, when you break tree line and then have to go back down below tree line again. But it's the way it is. So yeah, I think there's actually one more section on this trail where you have to go up and then back down again. I don't know if it's as much or possibly even more than that one was, but yeah, that was a good little downhill stretch. I mean, to lose 500 feet of elevation on the way up to a 14er, that is pretty significant. But anyway, I'm just following the CDT trail, and I hopefully should be breaking tree line again pretty soon here. Beautiful views down here. Trail's been kind of flat or like very, very gently uphill for a little while here. But as you can see, I am breaking tree line again, and I'm gonna be heading up in that direction. And then I think I'm gonna get over on the top of that ridge, and I think from there we have to go back down a couple hundred feet again. So definitely gonna be some elevation gain to do on the return trip. That's why they say, like, if you look at the 14ers.com description of this hike, that's why it says there's like 3,500 feet of total elevation gain, even though the trailhead is at like 11.5. But anyway, just continuing my way across this basin and towards the summit, which is right over there. And I gotta tell you, I was told by a lot of people, you know, I've read online and stuff, that you know, this mountain range is kind of underwhelming. And I gotta tell you, I don't know what the hell anyone's talking about. This is spectacular back here. All right, well, I'm on top of this ridge now. It's a saddle between that point and that point. That point's nearly 13,000 feet. I believe that's a little over 13,000. This point up here is about 12.6. And then there is San Luis Peak over there. So definitely some really beautiful views on top of this ridge. And now, of course, that I just went up all that elevation, I'm gonna have to lose pretty much all of that again, because it's time to start going back down. I'm gonna be heading down the trail, and it's gonna kind of wind its way around and then climb up onto the ridge up there. I can actually see a couple of people up on that saddle right there, so looks like that's where I'm heading. And then from there, just gonna follow the ridge up to the summit. Still got a good little bit left to go, about 2.5 miles, but it is a beautiful hike. and it's a really beautiful morning. It was absolutely freezing when I started this morning, but with that sun out and the lack of wind, it's warmed up pretty quick. So I'm ready to keep going, even though I'm about to lose a bunch of elevation again. Looking up at the summit, crossing another basin right now. You can see the saddle where I came from over there. And I gotta tell you, I don't think there is a single living pine tree in the entire area out here. I mean, like legitimately every single pine or spruce tree is dead. The pine beetles definitely ravage this area pretty hard. But anyway, you can see exactly where I'm heading from here, right up onto that saddle, and then it's basically just going to be a ridge walk up to the summit. All right, making my way up to this final saddle. No more downhill parts, at least not on the way to the summit. And you can see all these beautiful rock formations here. This is directly below the unnamed 13er that's on the other side of the saddle from San Luis Peak. And then there's looking down into that basin. I was about to say basement. And there is that other saddle that I came up and over. And then way back there is the other saddle that I came up and over. All right, I made it up to the saddle between San Luis Peak over there and the unnamed 13,100 foot peak over there. I gotta tell you, that can't be the summit of San Luis Peak up there. Like what I can see from here, that can't be the summit, because based on how far up the 13,100 peak is, yeah, I can tell you that from what I can see here, the top of that point is not over 14,000 feet. It, might be kind of close, but anyway, whatever, I'll figure it out. But anyway, this is where you branch off from the CDT. It continues over there. I'm going to be hiking up here and then cutting over and then heading up the ridge. Getting some beautiful views. I believe that's Stewart Peak over there. Could be wrong about that. I think that's the second tallest mountain in the La Garita mountain range. It's a very tall 13er, not quite 14er. San Luis Peak is the only 14er in this range. And yeah, very beautiful. The CDT heads down into another basin, but I'm going to be starting my way up the ridge now. The views have gotten really beautiful up here. And I got to tell you, with the amount of hiking I've done so far, I mean, I'm maybe like a mile and a half, maybe mile and 3/4 from the summit right now. And I still haven't seen, I've seen 2 people the whole day. I mean, seriously, like, it's a Saturday, Labor Day weekend, and I'm hiking up to the summit of a 14er, and I've only seen 2 other people the whole day. It's really crazy to me how much less people hike San Luis Peak versus like every other 14er in the state of Colorado. I don't know what it is about this mountain that makes people not want to hike it. I really don't get it, because it's beautiful. It's class 1. I mean, it is in a very remote area, but still, people do 14ers that are in super remote areas all the time. I mean, you go to Lake City, all of those 14ers, Wetterhorn and Handies and Red Cloud and Sunshine, all of those 14ers are in areas that are nearly as, if not equally as remote as where I am right now. And there's tons of people hiking those 14ers, but then here it's like totally quiet. All right, on the ridge, making my way up this steep trail to what I'm certain is a false summit, but I am at 13,475, so starting to get into the home stretch. Seen a couple other people since getting up on the ridge, and the views are just incredible. You can pretty much see all the way back to the West Willow Creek trailhead from here. Get a little higher up, might actually be able to see where I parked my truck. All right, I'm in the home stretch. I believe that's the summit up there. See a few people standing up there, so I'm pretty sure that's it. And that is about 300 vertical feet away. So I'm getting really close. All right, made it up to the summit of San Luis Peak, 14,014 feet. First 14er of the summer for me, which sucks, but it's awesome to be up here. Views are really beautiful, really remote area. I mean, you can just see, when you're up here, just how much just wilderness there is surrounding this peak. It's absolutely beautiful, and you can see there are a few people up here, but like I said, for a Labor Day weekend for a 14er, that is not that bad. You can see out there to the rest of the San Juans. It's a little hazy, but not nearly as bad as it's been in the recent past. It is awesome to be up here. I'm gonna enjoy it for a little while, guys. All right, heading off the summit. Back onto the ridge at about 14,000 feet exactly right now. What a beautiful day. Looks like some weather might be rolling in, but they were only calling for I think 20% chance of thunderstorms after 3 p.m. And considering it's only I don't even think it's 10 o'clock yet, I got plenty of time. Took about 2 hours and 45 minutes to get to the summit, and although on 14ers.com it said that it was about 5.5 miles each way, according to my phone it was 6.5 miles to get up here. How beautiful is this? Such a cool spot, really underrated, which when it comes to 14ers is not a word that is used very often. But yeah, this is really cool. So I want to issue a retraction. I earlier said that I thought that was Stewart Peak. I'm pretty sure it's actually that one up there. So a lot of people actually do combine San Luis and Stewart Peak. to do a 14er and then a really tall 13er. But if you want to do that, you would probably want to do the Stewart Creek approach, which is that trail down there on that slope, rather than the West Willow Creek approach like I did. But anyway, yeah, just heading down, hiking down some talus on the ridge here, and of course I am going to have some elevation gain on the way back. There's going to be at least like 600 feet of elevation gain on the return hike, so it's not going to be just all fun and games from here, but it's not too bad. I mean, honestly, going uphill on the way back isn't all bad because it gives you a break from, you know, the knee pounding downhill that anybody who's done a 14er knows all about. But anyway, glad I got to make it up to at least one 14er this year. I definitely had plans to do a lot more, but for a while there I thought I wasn't going to be able to do any this summer, so even though it took until September to do it, I'm glad, with all the injuries and crazy shit that happened to me early on in the, you know, late spring, early summer, that I was still able to make it to the summit of at least one of these things. All right, getting back to the first of 3 saddles I have to cross on the way back to the trailhead, and I'm catching up to all the people that started earlier than me. I started about 6:45 and it's like 10:20 right now, I think 10:20, maybe 10:30. There's the unnamed 13er over there, and you can see that despite what the forecast said, I think some bad weather might be moving in a little bit earlier than what they originally forecasted, so what are you going to do about it? All right, so I am hiking through this second valley here, and from here I'm gonna be dipping down into that forest pretty soon, and once I do that, it's going to be about 400 feet, or like 450, maybe 500 feet of elevation gain to get back up to that first saddle that I crossed on the way over to the peak. And once I get on top of that saddle, I'll be at like 12.3, and it's going to be all downhill from there to get back to the trailhead. It's still a beautiful day. There's definitely some clouds rolling in, but it looks like the weather's going to hold out probably for at least another, you know, couple of hours, so if not longer. I mean, you never really know. When you got clouds that look like that, you never really know what could happen, but for now it looks like it's fine. And either way, I'm not really going to be above tree line for much longer anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, I made it up to this final saddle, which means no more uphill on this hike. It's all downhill back to the trailhead now. Let me tell you, that last part, getting up from the low point in that valley to up here, that's kind of a bitch. I mean, it wouldn't be that bad normally, but you know, when you just got done hiking a 14er and you're already on like mile 11, Yeah, that's kind of a bitch going up there, but whatever. But anyway, there's a last little look at San Luis Peak before dipping down here and losing sight of it. And yeah, shouldn't be too much longer to get back to the trailhead from here. It's about 11:45 right now, so I've been hiking for right about 5 hours at this point. All right, guys, well, there is the West Willow Creek upper trailhead, four-wheel drive trailhead right there, which means I am wrapping up this hike. So the elevation, total elevation, was accurate on 14ers.com. It said 3,500 feet, and that's what it ended up being, but the mileage was a little off, at least for what my phone gave me. My phone clocked me in at 12.5 miles round trip, so about 1.25 miles longer round trip distance than what it says on 14ers.com. But either way, still a beautiful hike, and I made great time. It's just afternoon right now. It took me about 5 hours and 20 minutes to do this whole hike round trip, and that's including being up on the summit for about 30 minutes. So couldn't really ask for a better time than that, especially since it's the first 14er I've done since like March. But anyway, guys, now that I'm back at the trailhead, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to show you guys at least one 14er for summer of 2021. If the snow holds out for, you know, a few more weeks here, you know, throughout September, I'm definitely going to try to do at least 1 or 2 more 14ers before the snow starts again. But at this time of the year, you never really know. It could start really at any time. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys soon for another awesome hiking adventure.